and today we're going to be talking about James Bond. We want to talk about how it's evolved. So how would you describe, if you were to describe it in like one word, each era, how would you do it? Sean Connery.
Well, he's very of its time, isn't it? Very 60s.
Give me one word.
One word.
Sean Connery.
Suave.
George Lazenby.
It's kind of alright.
I'll see.
Let's do all this.
Yeah. Moore.
That's very good.
Pierce Brosnan.
Just keeping the British end up.
You've missed it.
You missed Dalton! You missed it!
Okay, Dalton.
Dalton, you know, that was a weird period for Bond.
Yeah.
I think we'd all say.
It
Gladys
was.
Knight is what I say about it.
It's nice. That is a great
You'd have
song.
thought the Gladys Knight would have done a Bond sort of
Yeah,
score.
but Madonna did, so.
Yeah.
Brosnan.
Taffin.
Oh, why bring that up? That's,
I love it.
that's when he has that mad rant and he shouts insane. What does he
Yeah,
shout?
what is it? It's "Take my baby, you shouldn't be living here!"
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Taffin, great.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Craig.
Craig, well, it's Bourne, isn't it?
Bourne. It is Bourne. It's Bourne.
I think he's even got some of the same second unit directors, doesn't
Totes
it?
Bourne.
Totes Bourne.
Okay, in terms of how I see the eras, I think
you're the better person to ask about
I
this.
think Sean Connery's. A lot of people say Sean Connery's is the best one. I actually disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's not the best one. I think
More.
although a lot of people say that the Bond in the Sean Connery movies is the most like the book, that to me is irrelevant. Don't care about that. It's all about it's the film that I'm interested in.
Okay, so Lazenby.
No. And I think the Sean Connery Bond is really bad, and I think Sean Connery is not a very good Bond. Like he's almost, when he says the puns, it's almost like he doesn't know, he doesn't get them. Like, there's a lot of like, oh, I think he got the point, and then he's like looking like, is that
Did I say that right?
Is that alright? I don't get it.
Did I deliver that correctly?
Oh, it's a harpoon, I get it.
Yes.
I don't get it.
No.
Yeah. And also like, yeah, I just don't really like his. However,
Even Goldfinger. Goldfinger's probably my favourite.
Well, I was going to bring up You Only Live Twice.
Yeah, that is a great one.
What I find with You Only Live Twice, that and Moonraker, I think, are the most stereotyped James Bond.
Yeah.
In terms of they are mocked the most.
Yeah.
I think Austin Powers was heavily on Moonraker and
yeah, because Moonraker is sort of a ludicrous plot,
ridiculous. I think it's the only one where the villain is trying to destroy the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But You Only Live Twice is the full like volcano layer.
Yeah.
People in multicoloured uniforms
and it sort of has so many of those tropes like Bond basically pulling a girl for whom English is the second language, so he's sort of able to get away with these terrible lines. And
You Only Live Twice.
The theme is so iconic, isn't it? From You Only Live Twice. I love the theme.
That's Sinatra, right?
Yeah, but as a score, that theme
really
replays
really
in lots of the Bond films, as does On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Which is odd, isn't it?
Yeah, All the Time in the World is such a common theme throughout. I mean, it's at the end of Casino Royale, I think. And it's it so represents. I just think they got it so right with that.
What's the best bit in You Only Live Twice? I'm going to tell you the answer. James Bond being turned into a Japanese man.
Yes, yes.
How do they do it? They give him a bowl haircut and big eyebrow.
At least they didn't go for goofy teeth, which was like what was his name, Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yeah, right. Also, the early Bonds, and You Only Live Twice is one of them, was one of those ones where it had this ongoing joke where MI6 was in a weird place. Like, I can't remember which one it is. I think it might be You Only Live Twice actually, where he's put onto he goes to like a half-sunken ship, and he gets put on it, and he goes into a capsule, and MI6 is in there, but they're all like slanted.
Oh, right.
Do you remember these?
I don't remember that.
They did it a few times in some of the Bonds. He'd go to like a weird place in the location where his mission is, and it'd be like in a stupid like storage container, and he'd go in, and Moneypenny's there in her desk, and M is there, and they've kind of stopped doing that now because it's ridiculous and doesn't make any sense.
They had the underground base in the last one.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, that was
I like this.
cool.
Yeah,
it's like we've actually chosen somewhere that isn't massively obvious as a base, just in case.
I like one thing I don't like is I don't like that M is a man now.
No,
don't like it, and I'll tell you why. Judi Dench is great, obviously.
Yeah.
And the main thing that makes her great is in GoldenEye, she sums up everything that's wrong about James Bond in that one speech where she calls him a misogynistic dinosaur.
Yeah.
And
says you're an archaic, out of date.
And what's great is he's almost trying to charm her in this meeting, and she just completely overpowers him. And so she is the woman that overpowers him.
Yeah.
And that's what works so well about M
And
being a woman.
But then I'd say it's sort of undercurving things like World Is Not Enough, where M was so much more involved, you know, do you remember?
Yeah.
Because she's there with the Sophie Marceau character.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And she builds something out of a clock or something.
And why was Denise Richards in that film?
It's Christmas joke.
Just the Christmas in Turkey
Yeah.
line. No, it's just awful.
She's so bad. No, she was a nuclear physicist.
Yeah.
Did you get that?
I absolutely
It's
believed it.
obvious, isn't it? My favourite bit from
She's been
Euro
typecast since then, hasn't she?
I watched The World Was Not Enough recently, and the thing is, in my head, I had fond memories of The World Was Not Enough, and I was like, I remember it being quite good. And I watched it, and it's not very good at all.
No.
Like the ski scene.
Yeah, that is bad.
It's cool. It's a cool idea, but it doesn't work.
No.
And it doesn't really make any sense. Like, if they wanted to kill him, there are easier ways than doing that. And it's the same with when he gets attacked at the caviar place.
Yeah.
And they attack with those woodcutter helicopter things. That's ridiculous
I think
as well.
that film, even though that would be post, certainly the original Austin Powers film, I don't know if it would be post Spy Who Shagged Me.
I think it is.
But
I might be wrong.
it seems to not have picked up on any of those things, because like Robert Carlyle's character is quite a sort of stereotypical sort of Bond villain, you know.
Yeah.
He's got this bullet lodged in his head,
Yeah.
but it makes him look like a Superman, you know.
Yeah.
And it's got him, you know, with the constricting things around his neck, throat, and
that was a cool
arms as
scene.
well. That's a good idea.
It's
Nothing compared to the knotted rope in Casino Royale.
That is insane, isn't
That
it?
is good. I mean, even when that laser was heading towards him, it's not as bad as the knotted rope.
And like Mads Mikkelsen was kind of a new actor in the Western cinema because he's huge in
Danish
cinema. Yeah. But that was his first kind of break in the big leagues, and he was amazing in it.
Yeah,
he looked so good in that movie.
Has gone on to do great work.
So much better than the Quantum of Solace villain.
Yeah, Matthew Almeric. Yeah.
Speaking of Quantum of Solace, I think it does have some redeeming factors. It is the weaker of the three.
Short?
It's very, very short.
Yeah, so that's good.
But
because it's awful.
It's not great, is it?
No.
And it is like it's the one that you can't describe what it's about. Whenever you ask someone what's Quantum of Solace about, they're like something about water or something.
Yeah,
I don't
it's really.
Who was the bad guy? Some man who didn't like water.
It's a plot that's really hard to get on board with, isn't it?
And it's hardcore Casino Royale Part 2.
Yeah.
But not even that. It's almost like a membrane growing at the end of Quantum of Solace. But things that I do like about it are the opera scene.
Yes,
when all the bad guys are there and he's watching them.
sequence,
That's such a cool scene.
Yeah.
And that holds the movie together for me, that whole scene.
I think it's certainly a very good moment. And I think the original sort of, you know, where he's got them back to the base and the guy reveals this sort of quantum thing.
Yeah.
And M's bodyguard sort of turns against her.
Yeah,
I thought that was a good sequence as well.
Yeah.
But I think the ending sequence is poor. I think the stuff with Mathis is poor. I think a lot of it's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. I did like that scene, you know, where they jump out the plane and they land in like a cave and it's Bond and the girl, and it's kind of like that it felt like a more classic Bond situation.
Yeah.
Him and the girl have escaped out of a plane and now they're in another situation. But then it just goes nowhere and they have a fight in a hotel or something.
Yeah.
That blows up in the middle of the desert.
Exactly.
And he makes the bad guy drink card grease or something.
Yes, he does.
It's really weird.
That's what drinks, and then he's sort of just sent to walk through the desert, isn't he?
So strange. I'm glad we're past Quantum of Solace.